What's up, everybody? It's Cody from Extreme Outfitters here today to talk about some arrow straightnesses, the difference between the arrows, and we're actually going to go into detail on the difference between a 6 thousandths, a 3 thousandths, and a match grade round or a 1 thousandths arrow. Stay tuned to find out. Today we've got some Easton 5mm shafts. Some are fletched, some are not. To differentiate them, we're going to start with the Axis SPT. This is a 6 thousandths shaft. All of these three are in orange that we're going to test the weight of to see what grain tolerance they're in. Then we're going to test the straightness of the vanes with the yellow and white blazers. These are your standard 3 thousandths shafts. We're going to test those for straightness and grain separation between the three as well. And then the bare shafts that we have, these are match grade shafts. So they should be within 1 thousandths or less, and they should also have a very tight tolerance between these three shafts itself. So to start with, we're going to move our spine index over here. And we're going to weigh these guys. I'm going to turn on my scale. We're going to start with the Axis SPT. And these should all be very close. Let's just get a... Should be close, I would say. Easton makes a good product. 337. That's what we're going to weigh that guy at. Let's test the next one. Move my shaft over. 337.7. So a 0.7 grain difference between the two, 0.7 of a grain. So 338.7. So within a grain or so, a little over a grain and a half, 1.7 grains between these three. Alright, now we have our 3 thousandths shaft. These should be a little bit closer grains per inch, and they should also be straighter as well. So we know these guys were at 337. It's a good median for them. Let's see what these weigh. 336.6 for one. Wow, that one's actually heavier. That one's 338.3. So there's a bigger deviation between the 3 thousandths right now than there is the 6 thousandths. 340.4. Wow, so these three are actually a greater deviation than the Axis SPTs. Alright, let's see what the match grades are running right now. That's very interesting to me. I bet Easton would like to know that. So this is 317 minus the blazer, so we should 317.4. Let's test this one. We got 317.9, so that's half a grain so far difference between. 317.8, so literally half a grain difference between these three, and the Axis were 1.7 and these were actually over 2, the standard 3 thousandths. So kind of eyeball raising as far as the 3 thousandths shafts. We're going to test straightness next, and then we're going to go into what bow hunter or archer would deviate toward a match grade of 3 thousandths or 6 thousandths round, depending on your goals and your level of shooting, of course. Alright, so here we have our RAM product spine tester. So this tests the spine, which we can use using this weight. We really don't use this weight too often. Testing spine is a very finite thing. You have to be perfect with it in order to get a very consistent spine. This will show you what we do for a lot of guys, is show you where the stiff spine of the arrow is in an arrow. Easton, I don't believe they actually have a stiff spine. I know Victor and Gold Tip do, so we do a lot of indexing for people like that as well. But we're going to start by just testing the straightness of this. And I might actually have to come around the side so you can see. Let's zero this guy out. And let's see how far this guy deviates. So you can see that needle move. So you can see that's within 6 thousandths of an inch, this shaft right here. Let's see what this one is. We're trying to get this as even as we can. We're close to 0. Right there. About the same. It's about 5 thousandths or so. So these are within spec, these two. Let's test the last 6 thousandths shafts, what we're seeing. And go from there. Whoa, this one's even more. Yeah, this one's like 8 or so. a little bit more of a deviation with those three right there. All right, let's test the 3000s. All right, we got that right there. Center this guy on 1. So with this, you have to have even pressure with your fingers on these rollers. You're not necessarily touching anything else, and they have the striker, stroke the arrow around the same pressure in the same time. Yeah, this is right around that 3000s mark. We'll give that credit 3 to 4. Make sure there's no debris on our arrow as well. Alright. Put it back on 0. Now that's incredible. That shaft doesn't even move. So technically this would be a match grade shaft in the sense of straightness. Being that this, yeah, that sucker's not moving at all. So this is a highly sought after arrow, I would say. If you were to buy 3000s and you wanted to get some match grade rounds or arrows to shoot out of your bow, you can test this to see what your most precise arrows are going to be. And most guys are going to leave those as their actual hunting shafts, for broadhead flight and everything. You can kind of tune everything in a little bit better doing it that way. Let's put this back at 0. This one's like 2000. So I mean, these two arrows right here, those 2000s and under for the 3000 shaft straightness, that's very good. That's good tolerances. The only thing that's kind of eyeball raising is the weight, which I'm wondering if our scale, if we need to reboot that, recalibrate it, Alright, now we have the match grade. So these should be sub 1000 or 1000s or sub 1000s. The straightest on the market from each company is typically a 1000 shaft or lower. Let's put it again on 0. That's a straight shaft. So first shot, good to go on this one. Next match grade shaft. That's incredible. The needle doesn't even move. I mean, this is a super solid, super straight arrow as well. Then moving right along. Sub 1000s as well. I mean, these are truly match grade shafts. Good job on Easton, and I like the fact that these guys are actually made in the USA. I've been to the factory. It's pretty legit how they make all these arrows, but we do have match grades right here. These are true 1000s and under. These are all true 3000s and under, and these are actually 6000s, and one was an 8000th arrow. So now, depending on which shaft you would shop for, based upon how the level of archer you are, or how big you want to get into bow hunting, the guys that are wanting a super tune, precision flying arrow, you're obviously going to go match grade route. These are going to be more expensive, but they are more precise. There's a little bit more, dedication in the process of sorting and selecting these arrows, and that's, that equivalates with the cost. Your 3000s arrow, this is probably the most popular that we sell here. It's not necessarily, your super basic entry level shaft for getting into archery. It's something a little bit, it's held to a higher standard, but it doesn't come with the cost of a match grade round. And what's wild is that we did see a little bit larger deviation in the weight. We didn't see any deviation in the actual straightness. So in truth, you can actually match weight these based on how you cut them. You can take a slight, 1/16 of an inch off here, or 32nd, or even, as you're scrubbing your arrow inside to making sure the insert weight's perfect, you can get away and get the weight to be very equivalent to what it's supposed to be. Alright, your 6000s. This is probably our least popular in the shop, but we do offer it because it is a super affordable arrow for anyone that's getting into archery, or someone that, you're shooting a high volume of arrows and you're probably breaking some and losing some. This is who we sell these to the most. They do have the largest deviation of straightness, and this was, like I said before, a little bit tighter in the sense of grains per inch, or the actual grain of the arrow is a little bit more spot on than the 3000s, which is kind of surprising to me. But at the cost, it's very hard to beat this arrow in the sense of, the straightness it's not there, but the weight was there, which is good. So if you're not necessarily driving tacks or anything like that yet, if you're getting into it, or you're just shooting a high volume arrows and you kind of want to don't beat up your match grade shafts, this is a good arrow selection as well to have in your shop, or if if you're wanting to buy some arrows. Personally, I'm a big fan of the match grades. I like them in bare shaft. That way I can actually build and fletch however configuration I want to instead of scraping off the blazers. And Easton does offer a lot of their shafts in bare shaft models. They just, the match grades are what we sell most of here at the shop and what most people want. In other videos in the future, we're actually going to go into building an arrow. For anyone that wants to customize them, what vane selection should you run? Whether you should run a left or a right helical. If you want to run a wrap, what degree offset, whether it's a 3 fletch or 4 fletch. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you check us out on our website, extremeoutfitters.com, where we have all these shafts available in majority of the spines and straightnesses that we offer. And check us out on our social media at Extreme Outfitters. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.